Right, well, morning. Still doesn't sound that great. There's no lasers today, so I've got them to sit at the front here. Our future generation. So do feed back to me if you think it's a bit boring or you want me to emphasize something. Still sounds horrible. Charlie, if you want me to reiterate something or repeat something, just, sorry Neil, have a dig, yeah? Is that okay? I know some of those people think I'm scary, but that's not true. You know, and the truth is, the people that are scary are the people that have the softest center. So there you go, there's a little secret. Do you think that's true, Charlie? Yeah. Who's more scary, your mum or your dad? It's your dad, isn't it? Yeah. So Paul, you've got a soft center. You've been hiding that so well. Have you been watching Peaky Blinders? Because you've got a bit of a Peaky Blinders haircut there. That's a compliment. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, isn't he? Well, not Arthur. You haven't watched it. Yeah. Okay, well, we're in 2018. Gosh, there's a gap. 2018. Gosh, you're all excited, aren't you? Hooray. Hooray. Have we had a good Christmas? It's been good? Yeah? We've had, I'm going to keep going there now, ain't I? We've had quite a bit of feedback from visitors, from some of you about our services, and they have been really, really positive. I have not heard one critique, probably because I'm a bit scary. Yeah, people have said they have felt a sense of family. We are family. Steve, I was going to go into it. Are you going to do this for weeks? This feeds you spiritually, doesn't it, Steve? Yeah. Yeah. So lots of positive feedback about how we're so orientated like that, and how they have sensed love, I guess. They have sensed that extension of God's arms in this room. And I think that's something to be incredibly grateful for. That is something to really celebrate and to thank God for. That we are family. And so I'm really excited about that in 2018. I want that to intensify. I want us to build on that because I think that's our strength. I think that's why you're all in the room. Because let's face it, coming to church isn't always very easy, is it? For some of you, it's probably not easy every week. But it's not always easy. I mean, church can feed your insecurities. Is that a fair point, Steve? It can, no. It can, I didn't want you to go into that. Yeah, it can feed, you know, it can make you feel a bit wobbly, can't it? You can feel a bit, oh, what do people think of me? All that kind of stuff. So church isn't always easy to come to, or what the expectations are of you being there. And so yeah, really positive to build on that this year, on our strength of creating family and looking after one another. And I think we can often sit in church or stand at the front and focus on what we don't particularly like about church, what we would like to change, or how we would like to see the sound better, or how we maybe would like different people in church, or how we would like a different whatever. But you know, I think it would be so good if we really try and challenge all of ourselves to look at all the positives that we have, particularly as we go into 2018. So I'm really excited about 2018. I'm trying to build some expectations for 2018. it would be wonderful, wouldn't it, if next year, on the first Sunday of 2019, we can look back and we can see that we have all traveled, that we've all traveled in our different ways, in a positive direction. I'm sure that 2018 will bring good things, won't it? 2018, I am absolutely certain, is going to bring amazing things. But there also will be challenges, won't there? There will also be the opposite of not good things. There will be life and there will be death. So we need to stick together, we need to look after one another, we need to invest. So I'm really excited. I've said that a couple of times now, haven't I? So I'll move on. It would be great if you could hold this up for me, Emily, but that's probably a bit too much to ask, isn't it? No, you might start looking at my emails. Can we just have a look at those verses then? Because everybody in this room is pretty well matured, except for these young people. We can't have them all up in one hit, I guess. We all have our favorite verses in the Bible, don't we, about how that God's love, and that we're supposed to imitate that love, and that it's all about love. Yeah, you like those verses, Charlie? All about love and loving your neighbor as much as yourself, and loving your sister and your mum and dad as much as you love yourself. Are you familiar with those ideas? Yeah. So, the Bible's just full of that stuff, isn't it? Yeah. And so I've just picked a couple of verses here, which just reflects a glimpse of this. And we all have our favorite verses, don't we, about how we're called into this journey of love. Because God is love. And God is in each and one of us, which is phenomenal, isn't it? So you've got a bit of God in you, and God is love. So you cannot help but love. It's incredible, isn't it? So Galatians 6:10. So then, as we have an opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially those who are in the household of faith. In Romans 12. So we, through many, or though many, are one body in Christ, and individually members one of another. And in 1 Corinthians, if one member suffers, all of us suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. And then further in 1 Corinthians, for we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field. We are God's field. We are God's building. You are God's building. So they're just incredible little nuggets, aren't they, of the whole journey, the whole train of love that we are all on. And I just find that incredible. And it's really amazing when you think about what kind of time have you had at Christmas with your family. Often when you meet people, oh, did you have a good Christmas? Fellow dog walkers. For some reason, there's this rule that if you have a dog, a four-legged creature, you then greet one another and you talk about this creature. And often when you're talking about the creature is something you can't talk about. So you're both standing there, ignoring the dogs, but you're talking about the dogs. And then they're finished doing whatever, unfortunately, dogs do. And then, oh yes, yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? Yeah. Anyway, so when you have those conversations about Christmas, they, oh yeah, we had a lovely morning, and then we went to Uncle Bob, and and they tell you this story of their family interactions. So what was our family interactions like this Christmas? Anyone dare to give just a little tiny snippet of, was it good? Did you meet with your extended family?
Yeah,
before Christmas? Still your family though. What about you, Emily? Did you meet some of your family?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good? It was good? Was it a long period, short period?
Short period.
It all went well from your perspective?
Yeah.
You got the presents you wanted, the turkey was right. Your mum seemed okay the whole time?
Questionable, but yeah.
Yeah, your dad seemed okay?
Yeah.
He's chewing gum again. Oh, so are you.
I got gum for Christmas, like in 100 packs. So.
You get gum for Christmas.
So I gave him gum for Christmas.
Was he happy?
He was very happy.
What about you, Ollie? You spent time with your family?
Yeah.
That went well for you? Yeah, Mum and I behaved? Yeah? I mean, I'm sure none of this is alien to you. When you spend time with family, after a little while, particularly around Christmas time, you have those little moments, don't you, where, yeah, where it maybe isn't that easy. I mean, being generally with people sometimes isn't easy. And that's why people love dogs. Dogs. I didn't say God. Dogs. Sorry? Dolls. No, I'm not into dolls. Dogs. Yes, I mean, by the way, this morning it's called Embrace. I should have called it Dogs, in hindsight. Yes, Embrace. Anyway, where was I going? What was I saying? Tricky times. I need more than that, Chris. Where was I?
It's easier to get on with dogs than humans.
Yes. Yeah, you have those moments eventually where you let your guard down a little bit, or it's late at night and you hear something that you don't really like, or they remind you of something that you didn't like, and sometimes there can be painful moments, can't there? And this Christmas time, my brother came to England, and yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Spending a lot of time with a sibling. It's you suddenly feel like a young lad again. You know, we're suddenly entering that same kind of realm of I'm better than you, and you know, and you start competing, and yeah, it's interesting. And so we went to Paris, and by the way, Esther got engaged. If you hadn't picked that up, and yeah, there were moments in that holiday with them where I guess I felt a little bit hurt. I went, ooh, ow. And mainly coming from my brother. And I could tell that later in the day, I had to give myself a little talk. You know, I had to say, well, come on, Ben, it's all right. It doesn't mean that much. I'm way more than that. And I was able to stay kind of open-armed. I was able to stay open and to love him and to love my family throughout the Christmas period, which is quite an achievement for somebody like me. Normally I might do weird things. So yeah, and so before we went out there, Joe, who's going to be possibly my son-in-law, wow, it's the first time I've said that. He asked Katie and I, we went for a walk on Common Plot. I mean, he didn't even really ask me. I wanted so much more. You know, for years I've been thinking, how's the first guy going to approach me? But he seemed so comfortable, probably because you were there, Katie. I walked a lot on my own, didn't I? Anyway, he said, are you okay? Or he didn't say that, did he? He said, what do you think about the idea of me asking Esther to get married while we're in Paris? And I was like, whoa, I wanted to like handbrake, boom, on. Let's stop right here, right now. Let's mark this moment, because what you're asking of me is a big chunk of my heart, and I can't just walk along with the dogs. I want to pause. I want to pause here and really mark this moment. And I could tell he wanted to move along. You know, he didn't want the scary me to come out again. And anyway, I obviously did the right thing and said, you know, I absolutely bless both of you. in this journey. I can see that you complement one another. I can see that there's love in the room and that you want the best for one another. So Joe, you have got my blessing. I reiterate, you have got my blessing. I said that, didn't I, Katie? And then I walked off. Because, then I had to go into therapy. Anyway, with the dogs. And and then that was all wonderful, and I was looking forward to that happening in Paris. I don't know why he wanted to do all that while we were around. I mean, maybe that's the new thing. Anyway, so then he gave us a warning. I'm going to do it tonight at the Sacré-Cœur. I was in Paris for a whole week, and I still haven't managed to latch onto those words. Anyway, we went to he had dinner, then went to the Sacré-Cœur. Can't we just call it church? Let's call it a church. And apparently this is the new thing to do, Emily, is that when you propose, you've got to get a shot. You've got to get a photo. And then you put that on the internet. And so he was aiming for this because he's of that generation. So he had primed it all that when he went onto his knee, somebody would be there to bang, photograph it. And Esther had no idea that this was going to happen, and sure enough, we saw them. You know, I was more worried about terrorism than anything else. But anyway, I saw them on the journey. And do you know what happened? I got a little emotional, Charlie, because I'm that scary person. I got a little emotional. I thought, oh, it's happening, it's happening. I didn't talk like that, by the way, but it's happening. And then I saw my brother rushing over there to take that magic photo. And what's my role in that situation? What do you do? Anyway, so I thought I'd be a little bit French. And I went, bravo! Or is that more Italian? Multicultural. I went, bravo! And I was the first person to make noise, which was probably a mistake. I went, bravo, bravo, because I had to release some of that energy, didn't I? And then I heard him say, I didn't want to hear that voice. And I thought, ow, that's not nice, is it? Why did you want me there if you didn't want me to make any noise? Anyway, the point of that long, silly story is that, again, later in that day, I had to say to myself, it's okay that he said that. Whatever reason behind him saying that, it's okay. Because I want to embrace them. I want to stay stretched and open and welcome them into my heart. And I guess the reason why I'm saying all this stuff, because I think we're all the same, aren't we, really? We all struggle, don't we, when we get hurt and somebody says something, or deliberately or not deliberately, and we all have to stay open. And in 2018, I would love for us all to stay fully stretched to one another, to come to church on a Sunday morning and to embrace, do you like this?
Yeah.
To stay open to one another. It's not always easy to love everyone. We're all a little bit different. We all have our different ways of doing things. But I would love to see us to become a lot more better, to extend that embrace, to extend that grace, and to stay open to God using that love that He's pouring into our lives. And the thing that I've really discovered over the last year, particularly about myself and other people, and it really drove home to me the last few days. I spent a couple of days with some people who are senior to me in age. So how old would they be, Charlie? Don't say too loud. Sorry?
I don't know.
Oh, that's very polite. How old do you think they were, Neil? Don't be nasty. Come on.
Over 80.
Over 80. No, oh yeah, there might have been somebody who was... Anyway, I was spending some time with some senior folk who had been doing ministry stuff for a very long time. Some of the people there had been church leaders for 20 years, or had been, they'd written books. They'd, been doing that kind of work for so long. And when I got close to them and they opened their hearts up to me, as did I learned that they are just as vulnerable and just as uncertain of what they're doing as what I am. And there's one particular story, this guy, he's written a book, or has written a manuscript, and he's been wanting to publish this book for years. And but he once spoke on the subject of this book in a large situation, because they were senior to me. And somebody heckled him while he was delivering this subject. And to that day, and this is a senior, very capable person, he has found it so difficult to kind of move on from there. And I just thought, wow, we are just all the same, aren't we? We're just all so similar. Whether you are a young person, a more mature person, whether you earn a lot of money or very little, whether you've got a lot of responsibility or whatever your situation, we all need to know that we're all right, that we are okay. Charlie, you are okay. Yeah, and you are okay, Emily. And that is something that we all so crave. We all so want to know. All these people behind you, they all look so polished, don't they? Well, they all seem so together, don't they? In your eyes, they seem like they are pretty together. But I think if we were all honest, we would all admit that we need that reassurance that we are okay. And I'm not saying that we should all walk around and say, oh, you know what, Ade, you're all right. Wendy, you're all right. Chris, you know you're all right. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about asking Wendy the question of, Wendy, what is something that is a bit fragile in your life? And she would tell you, and then you send that message, but Wendy, it's okay, it's all right. It's going to work out. Yeah. So I am hoping that in 2018, I need to spat on you then, Emily. I hope that in 2018, we send that message to one another. That we get close enough to one another. I get close enough to Steve, close enough to Mark, to Sam, to hear what's going on. That we all do this, not just me, because I can't do that all on my own, but I will give it a good go. That we all do that, don't we? That we all ask what's going on, and that we send a message that, you're all right. It's all right. We are all right. We are all okay. And here comes the crunch. And the way we're going to do that, what we're going to really promote in 2018, is doing more life together. And I think the instrument or the tool to do that is for us to try and choose into doing small groups together. We've notoriously always struggled a bit in raising the enthusiasm for small groups. And it would just be so good if you as individuals can see the benefits for you personally and for us corporately in choosing a small group. I totally understand that for some people small groups it invokes maybe alarm bells, or you just can't be bothered, or life's too busy. I understand all that. I know for some of us small groups are really essential, but I would really encourage you to think about this over the next couple of weeks, to think about what your heart is saying about small groups, about doing life together. By choosing a small group, your lives collide, don't they? More than just on a Sunday morning. They collide during the week. You are hearing other people's stories. You are creating opportunities where you can tell another person, Dawn, you're all right. Good, Dawn. And that is so essential that we pastorally enable small groups to provide that for people. So over the next couple of weeks, I would invite anybody in this room who would like to lead a small group to come and see Katie and I. If you've got ideas about how you think small groups should be run, what they should look like, how frequently they should meet, anything to do with small groups, come and talk to us about it. And then I hope that in the next, I don't know, maybe in February, we can start. Some people have already approached us who would really like to do a small group. And that's really exciting. So once we've identified who wants to lead them, we will meet with those people and we will start thinking about how we then roll that out. So yeah, I would encourage you to stay open to that. Think about how you could be placed in that and how you could do life as a family, how we could reflect to our community out there what we are investing in. I think that makes sense, doesn't it? Well, it makes absolute sense to me. I think that's going to be our DNA in relation to, and it's not just our DNA, it's obviously the DNA across the other communities. So I'm going to come in now and land. We're going to end. Yeah. Anyone got any questions about that? Okay, well, why don't I pray? Did you kids want to say anything? You can. I'd love to hear from you. God, we thank you for this new year. We thank you for what possibly could be. Help us to dream, help us to see what could be sown, what could be birthed. You are totally into relationships. And yeah, help us to choose into that. Help us to see it. And God, we ask that there's people who feel drawn to lead a group. God, we ask that you speak to them, that in your spirit you move them into a place where they feel empowered where they are able to make space and carry that responsibility. Help us to put all the steps in place and everyone's included. Just really help us in this journey. Help us to see just the incredible love that you have for us. Help us to deal with our relationships. Help us to deal with staying open-hearted and being able to embrace. Just thank you.